changed from the idea of first responders. We've really worked with our local partners, which you have to do in port security. It can't be just the Coast Guard. It has to be the state DEPs, environmental protection. It has to be the FBI. It has to be U.S. Attorney's Office. It has to be the Navy. Rather than first responders, we don't want that. We want to have first preventers. And that's kind of a theme that we've put forth in the ports, is to say, first responder, it's too late. That means we're responding to the attacks that already occurred. A first preventer is much more important and much more necessary to protect the nation and protect the coastlines. So we've done that as well. Again, when you look at this, you say, the Coast Guard needs more people and resources to fulfill its obligations. There's no question. We do. And it's hard to say that to you today when we know sequesters in and people being furloughed, but that's just the reality. We have to start mirroring up, like we are having the law catch up to the 21st century. Our congressional actions and our resources and support and maybe emphasis has to be placed more on not the best offense, the best defense is a good offense, but perhaps the best defense is a good defense. And that might be the change that we have to look at as the rest of the world is increasing their emphasis on creating coast guards, on creating armed coast guards, on creating these small vessels that can intercept people and not necessarily forced projection navies. We really can't afford not to support this idea of increasing the abilities, resources, and people associated with the Coast Guard. So interestingly, I wanted to put out one other thing while we're talking about ports and the needs for that. And what we've done is, again, we've increased our statutory authority after 9/11, but necessarily nothing came with it, unfunded mandates. The latest and greatest one, which is not necessarily a port issue, but it's of great interest to all of us in the services, is the Arctic, the wild, wild west. Who does Congress and the President turn to help out Shell Oil in the Arctic? The Coast Guard. Again, so we take on another mission area. We don't have icebreakers even funded in the next budget cycle to fulfill these obligations. But we're sending up buoy tenders and other folks to guard Shell Oil. You just saw recently Shell just pulled out or is planning on stopping their exploration in the region. But that's not going to change over time. Really, the Arctic is the wild, wild west right now, and we need to provide emphasis and resources in that area as much as possible. But it's tough for us to do that with limited resources, limited abilities. What are we talking about in the Arctic? What are we concerned about? We're drilling underneath the cap, ice cap. Oil spills, what do we do? We've seen the problems of dealing with oil spills in different areas of the country. Picture underneath the ice cap, the damage would be astronomical. We're trying to catch up to that. Like the law is, we're operationally trying to catch up to find best ways to prevent those sort of calamities. There's also security needs. We have to deal with that, and we're actually putting out a document on the Arctic and our efforts in the Arctic in the next